At the beginning of the film, we see a group of 6 friends in a deserted place. They had come there to make a scary video. Meanwhile, a local resident arrives with his new partner, David. However, upon seeing the young people, they decide to leave. After completing their work, all the friends leave the place. However, one couple stays behind. While exploring the area, a boy runs into a cabin. Inside there were many insects. He picks up a piece of wood and starts disturbing the insects. Suddenly, the insects begin to make loud noises. At that moment, a strange person arrives. He was making the sound of a pig. Before the couple could turn around to see him, the man swings a large cutting machine in his hand and beheads the boy. The girl standing nearby screams in fear and runs inside. Another person, who was already holding a knife, slowly moves toward the girl. Eventually, he slits her throat as well. Here, it is revealed that the killer is actually a man named Lester. He is the son of an old man who used to run a slaughterhouse. But now, this business has shut down because people prefer buying processed meat from modern factories. Instead of upgrading his slaughterhouse, Lester continued using the old methods. His biggest competitor was Tom, who had become successful due to his meat factories. Tom also wanted to buy Lester's property. It is also revealed that in the past, Tom used to work with Lester. But later, he built a new factory and introduced modern machinery, which led to his success. Lester's son grew up in the slaughterhouse. Because of this, he did not behave like a normal human. He acted like an animal, and even his voice sounded like a pig. The 2 recent murders he committed were also for the same reason, because the 2 young people were disturbing his pigs. The next morning, it is shown that Tom arrives with one of his associates to meet Lester. He wants to force him to sell his property. Lester's old friend, who had once advised him to build a slaughterhouse, had now joined hands with Tom. In the past, he had also suggested that Lester install modern machines. However, Lester had refused to listen to him. Now Tom makes an offer to Lester. He is willing to pay him $55,000 if he agrees to sell his property. Along with that, he also offers him a job so that Lester can continue earning and stay there. Once again, Lester refuses to sell his property. Upon hearing this, the sheriff threatens him, saying that if he does not make a decision now, his property will be auctioned next month. This was because he had not paid taxes for a long time. However, Lester ignores this warning and walks inside. A short while later, an auction notice is placed on his property. After this, Lester tries to enter his slaughterhouse. But his son Buddy stops him. This was the first time Buddy had done something like this. Surprised, Lester quickly rushes inside. The moment he enters, he is completely shocked. Buddy had killed 2 people and hung their bodies from hooks. Seeing this horrific scene, Lester screams loudly. He starts scolding Buddy harshly, demanding to know what he had done. However, upon seeing his father angry, Buddy also gets furious. His anger reaches the point where he picks up a knife, intending to kill Lester. But then, after a moment of thought, he stops. What happens next is truly unexpected. Lester's anger suddenly fades away. Instead of punishing his son, he pats Buddy on the back. He believes that Buddy has done an excellent job cutting the bodies. Buddy feels happy after hearing this praise. At that moment, a new plan forms in Lester's mind. He tells Buddy that now they must target more important people like Tom, the sheriff, and their associates. Lester begins preparing a new scheme. He calls Tom and tells him that he is ready to accept his offer. However, he insists that Tom must come to the slaughterhouse immediately. Meanwhile, the same 4 friends who had appeared at the beginning of the film are shown again. They are still planning to create their horror video. They visit a store, buy masks and other props, and then decide to return to the slaughterhouse to continue their shoot. On the other hand, the sheriff and David learn that a couple has been missing for 2 days. The last time they were seen was near the slaughterhouse. Therefore, the sheriff and David also set out to investigate the area. When David arrives, he notices the 4 friends filming their video inside the slaughterhouse. They were recording without any concern, completely unaware that their missing friends' bodies had already been hidden by Lester. After that, they all left the place. Buddy saw them going away. Meanwhile, Lester was preparing once again to eliminate Tom and his entire group. On the other hand, Sheriff David entered the slaughterhouse to investigate. Suddenly, he noticed blood dripping from somewhere. When he looked up, he saw a dead cat hanging. It was the same cat that used to bother Buddy's dogs. That's why Buddy killed it and hung it up. Whoever disturbed his dogs faced the same fate. David realized that the murderer was nearby, the same killer who had murdered the couple. He grabbed his revolver and moved forward to investigate further. But suddenly, someone attacked him from behind and cut off his hand. It was none other than Buddy. As soon as David's hand was severed, blood started flowing heavily from his wound. He collapsed to the ground and died on the spot. As soon as David died, Lester and Buddy arrived at the scene. Lester felt a little concerned about another murder, but instead of saying anything, he praised Buddy as usual. A little later, the long-awaited meeting between Lester and Tom was about to take place. Tom had come to discuss the property that he had been trying to purchase for a long time. Lester was impatiently waiting for him. To set the mood, they had decorated the entire slaughterhouse in a terrifying way, with human corpses hanging everywhere. As soon as Tom entered, he was horrified by the gruesome sight. He immediately started planning to escape. But before he could run, Buddy, who was hiding above, suddenly grabbed his neck. Then he squeezed his head so hard that his bones cracked and he died right there. But Buddy's madness was still not over. He removed David's uniform, cut it into pieces, and somehow fitted it onto his own body. After that, he sat in David's car and drove away. While driving, Buddy even responded to police radio calls to avoid suspicion. On the way, David's girlfriend saw the car approaching. She thought David was inside. As the car came closer, she stopped it and peeked through the window. But inside it was Buddy. Terrified, she quickly ran toward her car. Buddy didn't let her escape. He picked up a large stone from the ground and smashed it against her car. The girl, frightened, stepped out of the car and started running. But Buddy grabbed her from behind and slit her throat with his knife. In this way, Buddy committed yet another murder. A little later, the person who wanted to buy the slaughterhouse property finally arrived. This was the man whom Lester hated the most. Now, the most horrifying scene was about to unfold. Buddy picked up a chain, wrapped it around the man, and pulled it tightly. Then he threw him straight into the grinding machine. As the machine ran, his body was chopped into pieces, turning into minced meat. The scene shifts, and we see the same four friends at the club who frequently visited the slaughterhouse to make their horror videos. They were partying when suddenly all the lights in the club went out. The reason was a powerful storm that had unexpectedly hit the city. The flashes of lightning and the roar of thunder made the storm even scarier. They decided to visit the slaughterhouse again for their filming because there couldn't be a more frightening atmosphere than this. They decided to go to the slaughterhouse again for their filming. There could be no scarier atmosphere than this. While discussing this, they made a bet. The challenge was that Sally had to stay inside the slaughterhouse alone for 1 hour. Since she was already feeling a little scared, they thought this would be fun. After making this plan, they all arrived at the slaughterhouse. When Sally was standing alone inside, the other two boys planned to scare her even more. They wore masks and went to the window to frighten her. Sally was already terrified after seeing the place. But suddenly, a masked man appeared behind her. He was the real killer. He struck her on the head and then cut her body into 2 pieces. Now, only one girl remained from the group. She was searching for her friends. When she entered the slaughterhouse, she was completely confused. All 3 of her friends' bodies were hanging from the ceiling. At this point in the story, the sheriff is introduced. He had already received multiple complaints about missing people. First, there was the couple who were last seen near the slaughterhouse. Then there was David, who went to investigate near the grave but never returned. After that, Harold and Tom also disappeared. The sheriff immediately suspected Lester. So, he decided to go to the slaughterhouse himself to investigate. But he did not go alone. He had already requested backup police to arrive soon. On the other hand, inside the slaughterhouse, the killers were torturing the last surviving girl. She was the sheriff's daughter. Before they could kill her too, the sheriff's voice echoed in the air. As soon as their attention was diverted, the girl managed to escape. Buddy ran after her, but the sheriff fired his gun. Buddy got scared and stepped back. The killers and the sheriff ran to another place. The sheriff told his daughter to escape. He assured her that he would handle both killers until the backup police arrived. As soon as they got free, Lester came from behind and stabbed the sheriff in the stomach. Before he could attack the girl, she quickly picked up her father's gun and shot Lester. Now she saw that her father was still alive. To save him, she immediately lifted him in her arms and rushed toward her car. As she started driving away, Lester suddenly appeared in front of the car. She had assumed he was dead. But she did not get scared. Instead, she pressed the accelerator and ran him over, throwing him to the ground. Then she drove over his head, crushing it completely. At this point, she felt that maybe she and her father would survive. But that was only an illusion. Because Buddy, whom they had completely forgotten about, was hiding inside their car. He pulled out his knife and attacked the girl, killing her instantly. This is how the story ends. Friends, if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. See you in the next video.